Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Just looking out the window and seeing the leaves starting to turn color. Seasons are changing. Welcome, and please stand in body or spirit as we sing our gathering hymn and your great hymnal, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, number 188.
We'll sing it all together, and then we're going to divide it into two parts, and Tristan and I will lead it. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, whoever of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, whoever of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, whoever of leaving, ours is no caravan of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Thank you, that was beautiful. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough, where we constantly strive to be an open and welcoming congregation to all who seek community and support. We don't worship in one specific way each week, and we don't require that we all adhere to one specific creed or common belief, but rather we're a covenant community, committed to loving and supporting each other in our individual lifelong quest for truth and meaning in matters of the personal faith. So whoever you are, member, guest, or friend, and for whatever reason or purpose guided you here to join us today, in person or online, we welcome you. My name is Linda Seligman, and I'm the worship coordinator for today's service. And our theme this month is invitation. As a lay-led congregation, there are many contributors, many folks behind the scenes who make our services possible, make this a great place to be. So we thank everybody who participates in whatever way you do so. A big thank you. And I have the pleasure today of welcoming Julia Sender, who's the community organizer for Orange County Justice United, a coalition of 22 member organizations, including UUCH, and our plate donation today goes to them. So they work across Orange County. In her 5th year with Justice United, she brings 16 years of nonprofit journalism and agricultural work. Julia is continuously guided by the burning question: people can come together across divides to make real change in their communities. She grew up in Chapel Hill, a local girl, spent 6 years in Cedar Grove in North Orange. Orange County, so I think it's great. And you're going to explore the outcome that profound community change. And I welcome you and appreciate looking forward to hearing your message today.
Happy to be here.
really want to mention is, you probably noticed we have a new format. Pretty cool. And on the and is there anything in particular anybody really wants to make a point of to come on up and come up to the mic?
Hi, I'm Patty, and I hope Amy Dark doesn't shoot me because I know she's trying to avoid redundant announcements. But as I was late, it is coming up Saturday, the 21st. We're in a game. Drinks provided, okay? These are postcards that we have agreed to send out to hopefully by the end of service today, I will have the packets ready. And if you want to volunteer to write 20 postcards, I have the script, I have a little sticker about early voting information. The sticker goes back here, and then the rest of it is handwritten messaging from you to a voter. Handwritten postcards have been proven to be the most effective way to reach voters. They really respond to a handwritten card. So if you can do 20 of them, let me know, and hopefully I'll have a little paper lunch bag with everything you need in it. Hopefully, if the printer cooperates.
But aren't they cool?
Very.
Hi, I'm Alicia. I know Patty just announced game night that's happening here, but in addition to that game night, we also have a monthly game night that's at my house, which is on the third Sunday, which is today. So if you want to come to my house and play board games, that will be tonight starting around 5 and onward. And usually Aurora provides dinner for those game nights, but Aurora is sick. So instead we're just gonna say it's potluck style. So if you want to come and if you want to eat, then try to bring some food. If not, don't. It's fine too. So that's tonight.
Hi y'all, something I forgot to put in the newsletter this week. I am not going to be here next week. The office, which is really just me, will be closed September 21st to the 28th because I'm taking a vacation, you guys. I haven't taken a non-working vacation in like 10 years, so like I really like to not work. So I'm going to try really hard to not do that. So if you need something from me, I'll be around this week. And then I'll be back on the 28th or whatever. So hit me up if you need something. Thank you.
And this is a really good time to grab your phone and make sure it's on what we affectionately call worship mode, which means it won't go off in the middle of service. And we will, and please join us for coffee and tea after the service here in the sanctuary. And I want to give you a reminder about OCIM, the food pantry donations. And we adjusted our goal was 1,000 pounds. We've reduced it to 750 to make it probably a little more achievable. So far, we've contributed about 350 pounds of food and shelf goods, and so we're about halfway there. So when you're at the store, grab something extra, and please bring it in. Donate generously so that we Are there This is called Soul Fire. As we hope, may our congregation become souls and people in the presence of this flame, and you. It's an invitation to sit at the table.
Time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. And in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask, what's in it for me? We come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, and to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging for all who come, in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment and the next, to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. For this hour and in this space, let us be the change we wish to see.
Number 121 in your gray hymnal.
Free.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday, we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, others. So for those of you who would like to share aloud, to center yourself and collect your thoughts. Please come forward, tell us your name, and when you're finished, you may release a space on the altar. And for those of you joining us online, and if you'd like to share joy or concern, please put it in the chat and tell us if you'd like us to share it aloud, and we'll drop a stone for you. Acknowledge your joys and sorrows remaining in your hearts. I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while Aviva plays Voice Still and Small. And after she plays it through one time, you're all invited to join in singing this meditation song, and the words are printed in your order of service. bounty of friendship, community, and resources shared here among friends and loved ones fill us with the deepest gratitude. Let us close together. Let's hear from our religious education folks and what they're learning and doing in RE.
Today we are beginning our first read-through of our Sacred Story skits, which will be performed for all of you in November. So we have a few children here to participate, and hopefully as the weeks go on, we'll have everybody we need. So please join in by singing the recessional for children, which is printed in your order of service.
Thank you again for inviting me this morning, and I already had a beautiful introduction from Linda. I'll say it again just in case. My name is Julia Sendor, and I'm the organizer with Orange County Justice United. If at any moment the sound is not ideal, interrupt me, let me know. Sounds good. Great. And I'm so thankful to be here today, and the service was put together so beautifully and thoughtfully. All of the readings and music fit together very powerfully and are the perfect connection to what I'm about to share today. As Linda said, we are a coalition of 22 member groups across Orange County, including this very congregation, and we are hundreds of people who come together to take action on local justice issues like affordable housing, access to health care, education, and to make changes that people can really feel in their own lives. And this congregation is a member, and not only a member, but a very long time and faithful supporter. And some of the members in this congregation have been pivotal to campaigns that have truly changed lives across Orange County. So I'm thankful to be here today, thankful to this congregation, and the theme I know for the month is invitation. And there's really a series of invitations happening today. I'm thankful for the invitation I received to come and speak with you all today. And I also have an invitation to all of you. Very, very specifically, Justice United has a meeting this coming Thursday, September 19th at Lee's Chapel in Cedar Grove. Some of you may know them as the longtime host of many Martin Luther King Jr. celebrations at 7 p.m. Talk more about that. That's very specific, but more broadly, it's an invitation for you to reflect on the whole principle of community organizing. Not just Justice United, but the whole spirit of what we do when we say we're community organizing. And I got some really beautiful materials about the theme for this month of invitation, and something really struck me in those materials, that invitation isn't just inviting people to come to a place to show up, but how to reflect on how to make a place, a community, truly welcoming so that people actually deeply feel that they belong. And with the prayer, with the chalice, that they can reflect on their own soul fire and really feel that it's part of a meaningful constellation with other people's soul fires. And that's the same vision of community organizing on every level, starting with the invitation to your own self, to reflect on what do you care about and why. What experiences and people in your life have shaped your own values? What's at the heart of where your own soul is on fire? Why, and what is it on fire to do? And then the next part of this invitation is to build that constellation and to really dedicate intentional time to hear the stories of those around you. Even people that you may have seen every Sunday and more for 10 years. Part of the work of community organizing is dedicating time to sit down and say, tell me more about your stories. What do you care about and why? What's happened to you in your life? Who have been people in your life that have formed you as a person? And what do you want to do? And this is an exceptionally powerful tool for creating a spirit of curiosity, creativity, trust. That's all part of that deeper welcome with an invitation. And it can also lead to really transformational community change. Because from your own story and connecting your own story with others, the goal is to figure out where people can really come together across different divides to make the entire community more just, more welcoming, a place where people truly feel they can belong. And in Justice United, this very simple but powerful building block has been at the center of so much change. I'm just going to mention a few, but some of you have been a part of many more. Commitments and follow through from Orange County schools so that the teaching and other staff actually reflect the diversity of the students. Fixing horrifically unsafe, failing septic systems and wells that were running dry for weeks on end in local mobile home parks. Creating a program for safe drivers who are undocumented so they don't have to be in fear every single time they leave their home and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines collectively, even while driving safely, just because they couldn't get a license. Creating a program in Orange County to push back on gentrification and help families who make low income stay in their homes with property tax assistance, which is now close to $1 million dispersed across the county. So beginning with reflecting on your own story and connecting it with others, and then just starting together where you can take action on what we have in common can lead to change like that. I'm going to briefly share my own story, because I've done some of this reflection myself, and as I share today and ongoing, I invite you to reflect on yours. I also would love to get together with any of you for coffee and share more deeply about our stories, because I'm going to be as concise as I can with my own. But I grew up in Chapel Hill. My dad was a public defender, and he taught me and my brothers very early on about all of the injustice, especially racial and economic injustice that he saw in the justice system. And one of his clients who had a really big effect on me was a man named Daryl Hunt. Some of you may remember that case from the 80s and 90s. It was a wrongful conviction, totally innocent, and he spent 20 years in prison. It was originally going to be death penalty, then life, and then my dad and others worked to get him exonerated after 20 years. And it was a very racially charged case. He was a black man, victim white. When my dad came on, he found that the prosecution had been hiding the fact that they had DNA evidence of the person who had done the crime. So my dad figured out how to get it. They ran the tests, did not match Daryl's DNA. My dad and everyone, especially Daryl himself, were all ready to celebrate, but they took it to the judge, who said, "Oh yeah, but I still think he did it." And sent him back to prison for life. Originally was going to be for life. And I was 8 years old, waiting for my dad to come home that day, waiting on the porch, ready to celebrate, and I saw him crumble out of the car. And he came up onto the steps and realized something was wrong. And he told me and my mom and my brothers what had happened. And the wheels just started spinning really fast in my head. And I remember just being so angry I wanted to punch out all the screens in our screen porch, which would not have helped anything. But that was when it really hit me that the way the world is not the way that it should be. And I saw Daryl himself. I got to meet him several times after he was exonerated. My dad and others worked for 10 more years at that point to get him free. And throughout that time, I started reflecting more and more each year. Okay, the world is very wrong many times. Not all the time, but often. So how do we change it? And what would be my role? My mom is an Episcopal priest, and I saw from her work the strength and possibility when people really, really come together in a congregation, in any kind of community, in a community of communities. The church I grew up in Chapel Hill, was a place where I remember a single mother moving, and almost the entire church showed up to physically move the boxes into the new home, bless the home, and then have a big potluck meal and all the kids play together. So that got me thinking, how can the strength of communities be a tool to move the world towards what it should be? And as you heard in the introduction, I tried different kinds of getting at that work, trying to figure out who was doing what my dream was and how could I be a part of it. I ended up working in a community garden in Cedar Grove for 6 years, which I loved in many ways, but got to know lots of different people in the community through that work and saw people moving away from Orange County for lack of affordable housing. We worked with high school students every summer, and I heard students, once they got to know me, tell me about really intense mental health challenges they had, including because of racism that they faced in the schools. I got to know parents who were terrified about being deported and having their families separated, people overwhelmed by the cost of healthcare, and I started to just get really restless. I love bringing cucumbers to people, but is there more that we could be doing? I mean, I still love it. It's not to put down that, but I want to be part of something else too. And what if I started to think, what if all these different stories that people have could be somehow connected, and people could actually do something together? And then someone invited me to a Justice United assembly out in Hurdle Mills, where we were, I'll say we, because now I'm part of Justice United. At that point I was a guest, but winning commitments from those running for school board to diversify the teaching staff and the front desk staff so that there would be more diversity, more bilingual staff so that Spanish-speaking parents could really communicate with the schools. And I heard testimonies from lifelong Black educators who had seen their peers erased from the teaching staff.
Move towards the microphone.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. I saw the school board candidates agree that if they were elected, they would make this change. And then everybody, it was over 400 people, stood up in that church and cheered. And I just got goosebumps. This is it. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. This is what it should be. And so a few steps later, I ended up working for Justice United. And my own story has evolved too. I now have 2 small children, and our 3.5-year-old has a muscle condition similar to cerebral palsy. Very amazing person. He can't walk or talk, and we don't know if he ever will be able to. And we have a lot of questions about what his life and our life will be like. But we do know that we want him to live in a community where he will belong and where he will not be left behind. And that is exactly the kind of community that we're organizing for with Justice United. And that's some of my story. I'm going to share another story that shows how our stories can build together and make huge changes in the community and beyond. And again, I invite you in this time to be reflecting on your own. But one of the community leaders that I've been able to work with over the last couple of years is a young Latino woman, first generation in the US. And she has spoken publicly about this story. She struggled with her own mental health and had a traumatic brain injury while horseback riding. And there were essentially no mental health resources for Spanish speakers in Orange County. She has a large extended family in Orange County, and several of her family members had similar mental health struggles but refused to talk about it because of the stigma, and even didn't want her to talk about her own and tried to say she was making up her struggles because they didn't want it to reflect on the family. But she heard that Justice United was interested in doing something about the lack of mental health services for the Latino community, and she came to one of our listening sessions where people listened to each other's stories. And she learned that she wasn't alone, that this was a crisis happening across the community with parents either trying to get on an 8-month wait list or taking their children to the ER. There's nowhere else that they could go. And she knew that this wasn't how things should be, but didn't know what she could do. And with Justice United, we emphasize that we live in this tension between the world as it is and the world as it should be. And in the world as it should be, love runs everything. That's where you get the last shall be first. All people are created equal. No one struggles to stay in their home. Everyone has access to every kind of health service, completely affordable. But like we've shared a number of times already, we live in the world as it is. And so this is where Justice United works, to organize a community of people who are committed to work together here in this very messy, complicated tension and change the power balances that create so much of the injustice and build real people power necessary for healing and for liberation. And there's a quote by Martin Luther King Jr., it was also in the materials today, that's one of our guiding quotes in our work, which is that power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love, implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So that's the heart of our work with Justice United, is to build the power through hundreds of people all identifying common goals and working on them together to make the world more loving, make it the way it should be. And I've described our process a little bit. We have a very intentional process of how we set this work in motion. It begins with people listening to each other, one-on-one sharing stories, then holding larger listening sessions where people gather in small groups and share, if you could change one thing in the community that affects you or someone you love, what would it be and why? And we recently did that over 5 months with 800 people. And then all the groups come together. We did this past February and review the results of those sessions, and we voted. We vote on what our top 2 or 3 priorities will be shared across the organizations where we can all focus. And then we form research teams where members take on these huge, overwhelming problems, affordable housing, mental health, and carve out what we call issues that are specific and measurable that we could actually win on and that would make a real difference in our community members' lives. And then we strategize. Who has the power to make the change that we're looking for? Is it an elected official? Is it a governing board? Is it a company? And how do we get them to the table to negotiate with us about our proposals to make real change in people's lives? And then we plan really large events with hundreds of people that we call actions, where people come together and call on those decision makers publicly to commit to make the change that we need. And ideally and historically, we win a real change. Then there's the matter of holding people accountable for actually following through on what they committed to, where we also use our people power. Then we celebrate and evaluate what did we learn and where do we go from here, and begin the cycle again with listening. And this plays out usually over the course of 2 or 3 years, depending on what the campaigns are, but you all are continuously invited to be a part of every stage in that cycle. This Thursday, we'll be hearing reports from the research teams on proposals for moving towards action with affordable housing and healthcare access. So going back to our original story and how it played out, the young woman decided to take the risk and begin to organize her community through Justice United. She invited fellow Spanish speakers to our listening sessions and research sessions to figure out what clear proposals could we create to bring more mental health resources with bilingual providers in the Latino community. And she worked with us to plan a huge assembly with Alliance Health, which is the company that controls a lot of our county's public mental health funds. And we brought proposals to them for them to commit to. And to make sure there were a lot of people at that assembly, she made announcements every Sunday at her church. She went around church talking to people after services, signing people up, went to every ministry group weeks leading up to it to tell her story and ask people to come. And instead of being not believed or judged or ridiculed, after she would speak at those ministry groups, because I went with her, other people would get up one at a time and start to spontaneously tell their own stories and say, yeah, this is a problem because it happened to me, happened to my niece, it happened to my son, happened to my uncle. We all need this. and her own family members started to stand up with her. And one of them actually was one of the speakers at the big action we held, where over 300 people came out. Half of them were ones that she had connected with and recruited. And at that assembly, Alliance committed to $1.5 million as a start for investing in bilingual mental health services in Orange County. And this January, one of the key parts of that proposal was a team of community health workers, Spanish and English bilingual community health workers trained to provide mental health services to Latino community members. And by July, they had shown that the program was so successful that Alliance agreed to double its funding. And they're now using it as a model across the state for all different groups of people, languages, races. It's being lifted up. I think several $1 million are being dispersed across the state by the Department of Health and Human Services to continue this kind of program. So I remember being at that assembly where as a community we won those changes for life-saving mental health services. And I remember hearing brave and honest community leaders with moral courage tell their stories in Spanish of theirs and their loved ones' struggles, not only with mental health, but also not being able to find help for it. And I heard them present practical, well-researched proposals for how to get the needed services. And I saw executives from this powerful, wealthy company, Alliance, agree to all of those proposals. And as you know, they're now following through. And I heard the roar of cheers when Alliance said, yes, we will do it. And I heard one of the Latino leaders say, this is the most important thing that our church could be doing right now. And another one said, this is a new dawn. And I saw that young woman's mother and grandmother sitting side by side, shouting with joy and pumping their fists in the air. And once again, I just felt chills. And just in awe at what is possible for us to do together when we truly take to heart those opening words, we're in this together. And that's exactly what we're working for at Justice United. And it's what I invite all of you to continue listening for and discerning. Where does your story reveal to you those moments of tension where you see the messiness of the world as it is, but hear an invitation to heal and to liberate and to work together to create the world as it should be? And how can you discern how to use love as a guide and people power as a tool to create this new dawn and this new reality where when we invite people to be part of our community, we can together create a community where everyone truly belongs. Thank you.
May it be so.
Yes. Well, Julia, I think it's really awesome that you're continuing your dad's work, really, you know, and your mom's work too. Yeah, heart and soul and everything. So thank you for doing the work you do. It's really important.
Thank you all for being a part of it.
That's true. You know, we are a part of it. So at this time each Sunday, we take up a monetary offering, which is going to go to you folks, which supports our social justice work in our Orange County communities. So this month, our plate offering goes to Orange County Justice United. So please donate by placing cash or check in the offering basket. If by check, write plate on the memo line, or you could go to our website and click the donate button, and you can also use the QR code printed in your order service. And thank you for your generosity. bossa nova. Please join me in our prayer of collective gratitude, which is found in the order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. By the way, if you'd like to speak to someone on our care team, make sure you contact Patty O'Connor. And for our closing hymn, please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, Building a New Way. This is in your teal hymnal, 1017.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love that is the seed. We can feed our peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without peace, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
The closing words are from Fitted for This Day by Kimberly Quinn Johnson. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are not perfect, but we are perfectly fitted for this day. We are not without fault, but we can be honest to face our past as we chart a new future. We are the ones we have been waiting for. May we be bold and courageous to chart that new future. May we have faith in a future that is not known. We are the ones we have been waiting for.
Thank you. Now please join me as we extinguish our sacred Yu flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, my friends, and blessed be. Let's close together with Amen and blessed be. Amen and blessed be.